Welcome to An Apple a Day, a podcast, a resource, a community. Share your experiences and learn from others as we overcome barriers and learn to live a happy, healthy life with a disability. Welcome to the community. Here's your host, Jimmy Apple.
Welcome to another episode of An Apple a Day. I'm your host, Jimmy Apple. But today's just a bit, a bite, a slice of the apple. How you feeling today, my friend? You feeling good? You feeling strong? You feeling better than you did yesterday? Excellent. You can't ask for better than that. Before we go on, let me remind you, An Apple a Day is brought to you by www.famousapple.com. Famousapple.com is the home site for this podcast, so if you get a minute, check it out. And while you're tripping around the web, I want to remind you that we have a group page on Facebook. It's called Living with a Disability. And you can get to that by going to www.famousapple.com/group. That's GROUP. There's no S on that. It's www.famousapple.com/group. That'll bring you to Living with a Disability. Great place, people chatting, people making friends, asking questions, answering questions. You get a minute? Check it out. I want to ask you, since becoming a person with a disability, have you adjusted your bucket list? Better question, did you have a bucket list before you got a disability? I didn't. I used to live for the moment, and I used to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I never really looked towards the future. And then when I became disabled, when I had a disability, I started looking back at things saying, I wish I would have done this, or I would have liked to have done that, acting as if my life was over. And nothing could be further from the truth. Just because you have a disability, your life isn't over, and you still have a future. People seem to forget that. They get a disability, like somebody has a stroke, and they feel, my life is over. I'm going to sit in this armchair, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm just going to rot. It's almost like you're planning your end. You can't plan your end. You have to plan your future. If you have a disability, that doesn't mean life is over. I've heard people say that, and the reason I'm talking about this is because someone I spoke to on the web from the group, we got into a conversation in the private messenger, and they were telling me that their life is basically over because they had a stroke. I've had 5 strokes, and I don't think my life is over. I'm still planning for the future. I have a bucket list, plans that I wanna meet, that I want to do. All right, I've had to adjust my plans over the years. Like, I can't go hiking up in the Adirondacks anymore because, well, one, I'm in a wheelchair and it's kind of rough terrain. But there's still things that I want to see, people that I want to meet. So you adjust your bucket list accordingly. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean your life is over. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're a prisoner in your house. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're dead. You know, too many people think because they've had a stroke, or that they've had a heart attack, or that they have breathing problems, that they're on their last leg, and that their next trip is to the cemetery. That's far from the truth. The only way that you're going to end up in the cemetery is if you put yourself there. If you live your life. All right, you've had a heart attack. I've had 2. And I know what you're feeling. It's a scary feeling to have a heart attack. It truly, truly is. But you have to get over that eventually. All right, you're allowed, like I've always said it, you're allowed to have that pity party. You're allowed to be scared. But eventually, you have to take a deep breath and stand up and say, okay, I know I've had this problem, and it's time to move on. You have to adjust your lifestyle. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. I have 11 stents in my heart, so I definitely had to adjust my lifestyle. I'm no longer powerlifting. Not that I ever was, but I can't go out now and start a powerlifting course. So you have to adjust your lifestyle accordingly. But you can still live. I've had 5 strokes, like I said. The last one being the worst so far. And, all right, I lost my eyesight in my left eye. I lost the use of my one leg. I can no longer drive. That's devastating to me. But you have to adjust to it. Doesn't mean I'm dead. You have to plan for the future. That's very important, and I want to get that across to you. After talking to this person in the chat room from Living with a Disability, I was devastated after talking to them because they seem like such a lively person in the chat room, and to know that they feel this way. And I think after talking, hopefully they felt a little bit better, but you have to adjust your attitude and adjust your bucket list. And if you don't have a bucket list, make one. And maybe over time you may have to adjust it again and again, but keep on planning for the future. Don't give up. Don't say, well, my future's gone. I don't have a future. Everybody has a future. Stop thinking like your future is gone. Forget about the past right now and just plan for the future. Even if on your bucket list is only to go see a relative, plan for that. Maybe you want to go see the Empire State Building in New York or the Statue of Liberty. Maybe you want to go see Mount Rushmore. Maybe you want to see the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, the Grand Canyon. Maybe you want to go see your grandmother or your grandfather, your auntie, your uncle, your niece, your nephew. Those are things that can be on your bucket list. Maybe you want to buy a new car. Your bucket list doesn't have to be skydiving or skiing the Black Diamond or, I don't know, scaling a mountainside or whatever. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. On your bucket list, it could be buying a big screen TV. But plan something for the future. Look to the future. Stop looking back at the past. Stop thinking that you're dead. God, that's such a morbid thought. You're alive. You're breathing. All right, you're stuck in a wheelchair. I'm stuck in a wheelchair. That doesn't stop me from getting around a little bit. You're stuck in a wheelchair. Make it a plan that you want to go somewhere. My plan was, all right, I can't drive anymore. I was lucky enough to get a wheelchair van. I now have a van that has a ramp that I can ride my wheelchair in and lock into the passenger seat. I'm lucky. My wife drives. Now I can look out the window out of my one good eye. I'm seeing things I've never seen before. I've driven my whole entire life and I love driving. But now as a passenger, I'm seeing things that I didn't even know existed. You gotta find the plus in something, right? Don't think just because you have a disability, your life is over. It's far from over, my friends. Far from over. Look towards the future. I know I'm repeating myself and I'm hoping maybe by repeating myself, it's sinking in somewhere. I hope. Go to the Living with a Disability, our Facebook group. I have a post up there and it says, what's on your bucket list? You don't have to tell me exactly what's on your bucket list, but just say that you have a bucket list. Tell me if you adjusted your bucket list. Because our bucket list has to be adjusted. Maybe it has to be adjusted every week. Maybe it has to be adjusted every 6 months. Who knows? But just say whether or not you have a bucket list. And how often you adjust it. It's fun. It's something to do. It's something to think about. I got something else for you to think about. And this has to do with thinking in the future. You ever listen to what the lottery is worth anymore? Right now, well, the last time I heard, it was worth something like $700 million. If you were to win $700 million, what would you do with $700 million? I think about that sometimes. If I was to win $700 million, I would take 100 million of the 700 million, and I would make a number of my close friends millionaires. That's just something I was thinking about. I'd make a donation to my church. I'd make a donation to animal rescue groups. I'd put kill shelters out of business. What would you do if you won a large lottery prize. Just say you won $700 million. What would you do with that money? And I'm not saying give it all away because that would be foolish. What would you do with it though? Just a thought. Hey, you've been listening to An Apple a Day. This is an apple slice. This is just a little bit. We got some good guests coming up this week. We've got Spencer Bishens. He's a lawyer. He's an ex-Social Security lawyer. You're not going to want to miss that. And we got Catherine Clemitis. You're not going to want to miss that. We got excellent guests coming up. And we have you, the listeners, to thank for that. Well, I just wanted to touch base with you today. I hope you're doing good. And I'll talk to you during the week this week. Have a great one, my friends. And I'll talk to you later. This is Jimmy Apple.
Thanks for listening to An Apple a Day with Jimmy Apple, your gateway to a happy, healthy life. Join our community at www.famousapple.com. See you next time.